Here's something nobody talks about, but all of us know. You might be walking around with multiple versions of yourself, and most of them you're actively hiding. There's the version of yourself that's ambitious and driven, then there's the version that just wants to mess around and be creative. The serious you, the playful you, the strategic thinker, and the wild dreamer. And you've been taught that you need to pick one. Be consistent. Be predictable. Don't confuse people. But here's what actually happens when you do that. You lose some of your power. Wholeness isn't about being who you're told to be. It's about daring to be all of you in a world where most people are not truly themselves. Think about your average day. How much of it do you spend managing yourself? Not just working, but managing how you come across. You tone yourself down in some situations. You hide certain opinions. You don't mention certain interests because they don't fit the image you've curated. At work, you're one person. With friends, you're another. Online, maybe a third. And you think this is normal. Everyone does it, right? Sure, social intelligence is essential. But normal and essential doesn't mean it's not costing you. The parts you hide don't disappear. They sabotage you from the shadows. Your brain knows when you're faking it. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, when your internal reality doesn't match your behavior. And it can be exhausting. It's like running software in the background that's constantly draining your battery. You're using mental energy just to maintain the act. That's energy you could be using to build something, to create, to connect, to move forward. Instead, that energy is spent on pretending. Suppression isn't protection, it's self-sabotage. Every time you hide a part of yourself, you're creating internal conflict. And that conflict shows up as hesitation, second guessing, and that nagging feeling that something's off. You know that feeling, like you're never quite yourself. That's not anxiety. That's fragmentation of your personality. It's rejection of yourself as you are. What if you didn't hide those parts of yourself? What if you actually brought them together as one? The disciplined version of you and the spontaneous one. The logical thinker and the creative mess. The ambitious achiever and the person who just wants to enjoy life. That's integration, and it changes everything. Because when you're integrated, you're not fighting yourself anymore. You're not using energy to keep parts of yourself locked away. All of that energy, it's suddenly available for focus, for creativity, for action. The power isn't in perfection, it's in integration. Look at the people you actually respect. The ones who seem to have it together without being rigid. The ones who could be serious when needed and lighthearted the next minute. They're not perfect, they're integrated. They don't apologize for being complex. They don't force themselves into one lane. And because of that, they move through life with a kind of ease that's hard to explain. It's not confidence in the traditional sense. It's coherence. Wholeness is magnetism. This is why we see some people who are clearly and outwardly flawed, yet we have a deep respect for them. We know they are being true to themselves, and that's honorable. When you're not at war with yourself, people feel it. They don't know what it is exactly, but they're drawn to it. It's the absence of pretense, the absence of performance. You're just there, fully. And that's rare. This is the true essence of the word presence. Here's the part that surprises people. Being authentic isn't harder, it's actually easier. Think about all of the mental gymnastics you do every day. Remembering who you told what, filtering your thoughts, adjusting your personality based on who's in the room. That's exhausting. When you drop that, when you just show up as yourself, you get your energy back. Neuroscience backs this up. When your internal state matches your external behavior, your brain operates more efficiently. There's less friction between the emotional centers and the decision-making centers. Authenticity isn't risky, it's freedom. And when you start living this way, you stop second-guessing everything. You stop feeling like an imposter. You stop wondering if people would still like you if they really knew you. Because there's nothing to hide. There's no gap between who you are and who you're pretending to be. That's not just relief, that's power. People don't crave perfection, they crave truth. They crave authenticity. And the truth is, we're all complex. We're all contradictory. We all have parts of ourselves that don't fit neatly together. But then again, these are our own projections on what is just the reality of who we are. Nothing in the universe is a mistake. You are the way you are for a reason. The difference is, most people hide it. They edit themselves into something bland and acceptable, wanting to go unnoticed, wanting to fit in and blend in. But you don't have to. When you show up whole with your true self, you give other people permission to do the same. And that's when real connection happens. Let's be real for a second. The world doesn't want you to be whole. It wants you simple, easy to categorize, easy to market to. Pick a niche, stay in your lane, be consistent with your brand. And look, there's practical value in focus. I'm not saying be scattered. Discipline and consistency matter greatly. But there's a difference between having those things and hiding who you are in the process. It's not a fair trade. Rebellion isn't rejecting who you are. It's rejecting the pressure to be less than you are. You've been told your whole life to smooth out your edges, to be more professional, more serious, more normal. And maybe that advice worked for the industrial age, when conformity was the price of entry, but we're not living in that world anymore. The people who stand out now, they're the ones who refuse to shrink. They're multifaceted. They're unpredictable in the best way. They don't fit into a box, and they're not apologizing for it. Your uniqueness is not a liability. It's your greatest asset. But only if you use it. Only if you stop trying to sand down the parts of yourself that make you who you are. The things that don't fit the mold, those are the things people remember. Your weird sense of humor, your unexpected interests, the fact that you're intense about some things and completely laid back about others. That's not inconsistency, that's depth. Don't hide it, use it. Now let's talk about where this actually matters most, which is your goals. Because here's what happens to most people. They set goals based on what looks good, what sounds impressive, what other people would respect, and then they grind for years towards something that doesn't actually fit who they are. They build businesses that require them to be someone they're not. They chase careers that force them to suppress their creativity. They hit milestones that look great on paper but feel empty inside. Success without self-expression isn't success, it's self-abandonment. If your goals require you to kill off parts of yourself, you're building a prison, not a life. Integration means your ambitions reflect all of you. Not just the disciplined, hustle hard, optimize everything part, but also the part that needs play and rest and spontaneity and meaning. When your goals are integrated, they're sustainable. You're not forcing yourself to be someone you're not. You're not dragging yourself toward a finish line you don't actually care about. You're building something that feels like you in some way. It doesn't have to be perfectly aligned, just enough. Your goals should amplify you, not erase you. And here's the thing, when your ambitions actually align with your nature, you don't have to force discipline. Motivation isn't a problem because the goal and the self aren't in conflict. You're not grinding against yourself, you're moving with yourself. That's not just success, that's alignment. So 3 things. 1, notice where you self-edit. Pay attention. When do you catch yourself holding back? hiding an opinion, downplaying something you're excited about. Not every thought needs to be shared. I'm not saying overshare, but notice the pattern. Notice where you're shrinking to fit someone else's comfort zone. Number 2, give yourself permission to express. Start small, daily. Say the thing you'd normally keep to yourself. Dress the way you actually want to. Share the work you've been hiding because it doesn't fit your brand. You don't need anyone's permission to be yourself, but you do need to give yourself permission. The real permission slip you're waiting for, it's your own. 3, align your goals with your actual nature. Look at what you're chasing. Ask yourself honestly, does this reflect who I really am, or just who I think I should be? If there's a gap, you need to close it. Not overnight, but deliberately. Build towards something that actually fits you. Something that doesn't require you to amputate parts of yourself to achieve. Here's the bottom line. You're not meant to be simple. You're not meant to be one-dimensional. You're not meant to fit into a neat little box that makes other people comfortable. You're complex, you're contradictory, you're a whole person with multiple sides. And when you stop trying to hide that, when you bring all of those parts together, instead of keeping them separate, you become more powerful. Not because you're perfect, because you're whole. You're not at war with yourself anymore. You're not bleeding energy trying to maintain different versions of you in different contexts. You're just you, fully, completely, unapologetically. And from that place, you can build anything. Stop fragmenting yourself. Integrate, express, live whole. That's not just the best way to move forward. It's the only way to be free. And wouldn't you like to say that at the end of your life, that you lived it your way? That's all that really matters in the end. This is Mind Odyssey. Thanks for watching, and I hope you give yourself a bigger allowance to be yourself. Beautiful things happen when you do. We'll be back, but until then, mull this one over.